welcome back to yet another tour. Who would have thought that there could be this many tours in a 400 square space? And if you haven't seen the other two tours that I've done, check out the description box below. And before we get into it, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell to stay up to date with all of Ryan and I's shenanigans. But let's get into the tour. The first spot that I'm taking you to is to our little microwave stand. I believe this is an old bar cart. On this, other than my plants, I just have some pumpkin seeds on here, just a random bowl. This is where I store most of Ryan's work snacks and his toast for breakfast and just late night snacks. In this little cabinet below, we keep most of our bigger bulk baking things. So down here we have 3 different types of flour. We have just an all-purpose flour, a whole wheat flour, and a bread flour. And then we have sugar down there, and then we hide the blender away down there as well. And that just, helps us keep all of the easier access storage a little cleaner without the big bulk items. So we keep those down and out of the way here. Next to the microwave and all of the baking things over there, we just have the oven, and on the oven we keep our tea kettle right here that I thrifted, and below in the warmer box we keep our cast iron pans. I don't really use them that often when I'm cooking at home, and so they're mainly for when we go camping, and they just stay way down there, and that way I don't need to lift up the really heavy pans into a higher space. And above the oven we have our spice rack. So this just has a ton of spices that I'm using pretty much every week. And then above the oven we have this double door cabinet that we keep all of our pasta in, which is kind of a lot. We're actually kind of low right now. And then we keep our oil so it's easy to access when we're cooking on the stove. And we have cereal and rice up there as well. This was one of our tallest cabinets, so we had to keep the cereal boxes up here. And yep, we just keep all of that stuff because it's pretty easy access for the stove and for the oven. So when you're organizing your kitchen, you want to make sure that everything makes sense. So you want your utensils next to your oven and not by your fridge. You're not going to need them when you're going through your fridge. You want to keep them where they're easiest accessible when you're actually cooking. And then over next to the stove, we just have the toaster and a basil plant, as well as some coasters that aren't really used that often, but they look cute there. Above the toaster, this is our main pantry cabinet. So down here on the first level, we just have some more bowls and plates. These bowls I really love for cooking. They're really nice to mix stuff in, and so you don't need to use a big mixing bowl. And then we just have some more decorative plates that I originally placed here, so in the morning Ryan could just put his toast on this and it would be right by the toaster. But he doesn't really ever use them. I use them more often than he does. But on that shelf we also keep our measuring cups and salt. These aren't really done in any particular order. The top shelf I don't reach for the stuff as much, and it's usually just stuff that's towards the front is the stuff that I use the most. And the stuff towards the back I don't really use very often. So in here is where I keep granola and flax seeds, and also baking powder and baking soda, as well as brown sugar, cornstarch, all the other baking needs that aren't as big as the flour and sugar. Underneath the toaster and the basil we have this drawer, which we keep all of our cooking utensils in, or most of them, as well as our hot pads and our oven mitt. And then we have some tin foil that we actually don't really ever use, and some toothpicks, a pastry cutter, and a bunch of knives, and just things to cook with. And then below that we keep all of our pots and pans. So we have our baking sheet down there, as well as a cutting board. It's really nice just to have it right across from the space that I use to cut everything on. And I mostly use the kitchen island to prepare the food on. So it's nice to just be able to grab it and put it on just by turning. So we have a few different pots in the front that we use the most. And then all of the stuff we don't use as often is pushed near the back because I just don't reach for it very often. So the sink is probably where I spend most of my day cleaning. Just always going through a bunch of dishes. And over on this side we keep our drying rack so it can just go right into the sink instead of taking up the counter space and having the water flow down. It's just way easier to have them dry in the sink since we do have a double tub sink. And then this is where we keep our dirty dishes until I'm ready to wash them, really. So right now I have some straws that I've just been saving in there until I really want to clean them. But that makes it really easy, and I usually have just one scrubby out and one washcloth that one of my grandmas made me. And then we just have this banana print that I made many years ago, and I just love it. Below the sink we have kind of all of our really random stuff. So we keep our waffle maker down here just because we've learned that waffle makers tend to really hold on to the oil, and then when you don't use it, it decides to release it all. And so it's here so it doesn't, you know, grease up any of our counter space or take it up. And then I have this bucket here that used to be for our recycling, but because brown paper bags don't fit in here, it was just kind of a hassle. So now I have all of my gardening stuff in here. So I have perlite as well as extra soil and fertilizer and just various of the plastic pots that plants come in. And then we also have some, what is this? We have mink oil paste and stuff for Ryan to clean up and oil his boots, as well as just multiple different cleaners down here. We have all-purpose cleaner and an antibacterial cleaner. And one of my favorite things, and probably an essential for me, is a silicone bottle brush. I think that they are so useful and they just don't get as gross as like the foam ones do. Really easy to clean and keep pretty sanitary, I think. Usually this is also where we keep our brown paper bags. We're running low right now, which is good. We're about to go to the grocery store, and because of the pandemic, we can't really bring our own bags, and so that's when we stock up on them. And that's it for this space down here. So above the sink right up here, we have all of our baking dishes, and we have a whirly pop as well as our mixing bowls. So these are all pretty easy for us to get at, but since they're pretty big, they're in a little bit of a less accessible place, like the two side cupboards. And so that's what these are. Again, not much to it. So this is probably the station you guys see the most in my videos because I tend to make coffee almost every day, and so I just have the espresso machine that I really love, my espresso out, as well as a frother. Just a little, you know, keep it all together and make it really easy. And then right above that we have all of our cups and plates and bowls. So on the first level we keep our bowls and smaller cups and mugs. And above that we keep all of our plates. So we have two tiers of plates. We have 3 different sizes. Well, one's more of a bowl plate. And then I just have some wine glasses and that Coca-Cola cup from our thrift haul. And then on the top level it's strictly wine glasses. And somehow, someway, I have managed to squeeze all 12 wine glasses on that little shelf. Now, in these 3 drawers, which are just underneath the little coffee station, we have our regular utensils up in this top drawer, and this is just a drying towel for our dishes right here on the handle. Behind our regular utensils we also have some extra things. We have like a gnocchi roller and our scissors, as well as like a wine opener, all the little things that I didn't want clogging up the cooking utensil drawer. And below that we have this drawer, which is like all of our towels and washcloths, as well as beeswax wrap. I have a whole pile of beeswax wrap in here that sits on top of a kitchen scale. And this is also where we store our trash bags and compost bags. And below that, in our final drawer, we have extra mixing bowls that I just never really reach for and are really large. And we have paper towels, which we don't ever use, but Ryan, when he cleans his boots, he uses that so we don't like really wreck a towel. And then I also have all of my reusable Ziploc bags as well as my Tupperware just to save my food in, and that's about it. In this space right above the fridge, we keep all of that extra stuff that rarely ever actually gets touched. So we have extra wine glasses in there, the cups that I've talked about in previous videos that we just don't use because we use water bottles. We have a popover pan that I have because I really like popovers, but since our apartment is egg free, I can't really make popovers, and so the pan gets sentenced up to above the fridge until I find a recipe that doesn't require eggs. That is the out of my mind cabinet because I just can't even reach it. It's too far back and too high up for me. So another tip, keep anything that you don't really use in harder to reach places, because if you're not using it every day, it's not necessary to have it like at arm's reach. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And I want you to comment below what videos you want to see from Ryan. This channel has a lot of me on it because he is very busy and I have more than enough time to do this, and I really enjoy making these videos, but Ryan also has a lot of ideas, but I want to hear from you guys what you want to see from him. So I'll see you next time. Bye!